My name is Geoff Young, and I'm running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Kentucky's 6th District, 19 counties in central and eastern Kentucky. My opponent is Republican antiwar. Most Kentuckians get our news from the mainstream media. They are, in general, large corporations that have owners who have an agenda. Mainstream media are not unbiased. They represent the interests of the corporations that own them. Their main interest is in keeping the system going. And of course, when you're watching the news, 5 o'clock on TV, you don't have in mind the idea that there's some corporation who has produced this show, and that corporation, its owners, have interests, and they're interested in what you see and hear. There's a battle going on for control of your mind, your opinions, and your votes. So the main thing I'm trying to say here is that mainstream media corporations are not fair and balanced. None of them are. Because I have focused so much on foreign policy over the last 38 years, either on a part-time or now a full-time basis, I'm very much aware of the way mainstream media corporations distort the news about foreign conflicts. In 2003, to give you one example, the United States invaded Iraq. Now, from my study for decades and from my understanding of international law, I realized instantly, in fact, before the war started, that it was a war of aggression. I challenge you to find any mainstream media news report about the Bush administration's invasion of Iraq that used the words aggressor, invasion, illegal invasion of Iraq. I believe that that is not the way the mainstream media talked about that situation. They may have used the word invasion, but usually they talked about other things, such as whether we would find weapons of mass destruction there or not, whether the war was going to lead to too many casualties among our troops, whether our high-tech weaponry was going to defeat the Iraqi army. So you see how it's done? The mainstream media corporations in 2002 and 2003 reported to you everything they wanted you to understand, but they left out a very important fact, that George Bush's invasion and Dick Cheney's invasion of Iraq was a massive war crime, probably the largest war crime of the 21st century so far, or the largest set of war crimes. The invasion itself was the crime, a crime against peace. And our mainstream media corporations were extremely effective in deceiving everyone in America about that invasion, that illegal invasion. I remember writing a letter to the Herald Leader the day after the invasion of Iraq started. And I called it illegal aggression, and I said that President Bush should be impeached, I also said I oppose the death penalty because what he committed was a capital crime. He committed the same crime, aggression, for which Nazi generals were executed at Nuremberg after World War II. And the Herald Leader, to its credit, printed my letter. But hardly anyone else ever made that point, that the invasion of Iraq was not just a blunder, but a crime. And I blame the mainstream media for obscuring that fact intentionally, because it would have caused problems for the system. If the media had reported from day one of the invasion of Iraq that, oh, by the way, folks, our president is a war criminal, he would not have been allowed to continue operating our troops in that country. The American people would have risen up and said, we're not going to support a war crime. We're not going to support a war criminal. The mainstream media built support for that war by refusing to report the fact that it was illegal from its inception. It's still going on today. The main instrument of propaganda in this country is those 6 mainstream media corporations. They tell you what they think is important. They ignore what they think is unimportant. I'll give you more examples in future videos, but I'll wrap this up right now. My name is Geoff Young, and I approve this message.